Greetings, salutations, y'all. How y'all feeling today? Happy Wednesday, hump day. Happy hump day. Happy day 4 of Vlogmas. Everybody, y'all, I was this close to not getting a video tonight. Which don't matter because half y'all don't watch no way. But like I told one of my friends today, if I touch or influence or affect one person out of these videos, then I've done my job. I enjoy doing it. But today, I wanted to come on here and talk to you about something that's really important to me, and that is mental health in the Black community, right? So, some of y'all may know, most of y'all probably don't, but I suffer from anxiety. I suffer from social anxiety and depression. That's weird. I've never said that out loud before, like not on camera. But it's something that I deal with on a let me rephrase that. I don't suffer from these things. I deal with anxiety and depression. And I wanted to come in and speak about how it's something that happens. It's something that is very common, to say the least, in a lot of families and a lot of people. And it's something that happens to a lot of people of color. With that being said, there's a stigma in the Black community around mental health. And it's toxic. Being somebody who deals with these things on a daily basis, I want to inform you of what it's like to handle these type of things. I've known that something was different for a very, very, very long time. So much so that in high school, one of my guidance counselors recommended I see a therapist. This therapist, it wouldn't have cost anything. It wouldn't have interfered with school or anything of that nature. My mother, and this is not to shame or anything. I love my mama. Everybody know Ella, that's my girl. My mama was not a fan. I don't believe my father knew at the time. I don't think that he knew. I don't think that it was something that was talked about amongst my parents. I don't think that it was mentioned at all. I just think that my mother knew because I had to get a form signed to participate. Oh, I need my eyebrows done. But so I had to get this form signed to participate. Needless to say, I did not get that signed because it was something that just she wasn't comfortable with doing. So this brings me to a point where I felt hopeless. I felt really hopeless. There was a lot of things going on at the time. Difficulties at home, For anybody who knows me, me and my father's relationship was very rocky. In high school, I began to voice my disliking for a lot of things that were, going on within our relationship. And it was just a very rocky time. My grandmother, was she staying with us at this time? I don't know if my grandmother hadn't begun to stay with us yet. My grandmother had dementia. She had Alzheimer's. So I'm thinking back. I want to say this was early on, because I don't believe my grandmother came to live with us, and to be like, not so much live, but be more immersed in our care until, I want to say, towards the end of my high school. Towards the end of my high school years. So this had to be maybe 10th, 11th grade, I think. So I was really battling with a lot at that time. I was having anxiety attacks. I was increasingly angry. I was, lashing out at people. And it wasn't like I was, just like a very angry person, but there was so much going on, within me that I had no way to express it. I had no way to push these feelings out, in a healthy way. I had no way to get them out. And that resulted in a lot of destructive behavior. Not really so much towards other people for the most part. Lashing out was very rare, but it was more so I would get angry about something, and then everything that I was angry about before that something would kind of spill over onto the person that I was angry at that moment. So you could have did something small and I'm yelling at you for all of my childhood trauma. You know what I mean? Like that, it was like, I'm mad at you, but I'm giving you way too much anger. Well, you only needed this much, but you got this much. That was my experience. And it kind of spilled over into college. I went to Bowling Green, and while I was there, I did lack a lot of support, and with that came a lot of depression. It also came with a lot of soul searching, but it came with a lot of depression also. It's difficult to see your peers receiving so much support and whatnot from their families, from their people and their groups, if you will. And I didn't really get to experience much of that. I remember Family Day came, and my family wasn't able to come, wasn't able to, take part in that. And so I didn't leave my dorm that day. I just kind of stayed there. And just a lot of things that happen in college. I won't go too in depth here. But a lot of things that happen in college really kind of piled onto that. So I left Bowling Green. It was just too expensive for us at the time. While taking care of my grandmother and, splitting the finances between all of the things that we had to do as a family, Bowling Green just wasn't feasible. for us. And so I ended up leaving, and I came back home, and I started to go to Cleveland State. And by this time, my grandmother had been living with us, and what else? I was in a relationship, and it was just, it wasn't abusive, it wasn't, anything. It was something to take my mind off of what was going on presently. It was like, okay, you're here. And if I'm here and you're here, we're here together, I can focus on this, and I don't have to focus on all of the other issues. When in reality, the issues were still there. I was still focusing on them, and that's why that relationship didn't work out, and a multitude of other reasons. But nevertheless, by this time, towards the end of the year, my grandmother actually ended up passing. And that right there, oh, y'all, the depression that came from that, I missed midterms, I missed finals, I didn't eat, I ended up having like a stomach condition. It's acid reflux, but it was my stomach acid was eating away at the lining of my stomach, so much so that it almost caused an ulcer. So I was in a world of pain. I was emotionally just outdone. I was numb at that point. Like, my feelings were numb. So much so that I didn't want to live. Like, I contemplated suicide quite a bit. But I couldn't, because I couldn't bear inflicting that type of pain on my mother after she lost her mother. I promise you, that was the only thing. That was the only thing that kept me. But I took all of that sadness and all of that pain, and I grabbed it and I balled it up as tight as I could, and I buried it as deep as I could. Which I had been doing for years for the most part. And sometimes things would spill out and spill over, and, you get like a, small lash out. But for the most part, I really tried my best to suppress everything. Well, fast forward through all of the arguments, all of, breakups and makeups and everything that happened. This year, I decided to go and see a therapist. Because I'm an adult. And I can make those decisions for myself now. And I was so scared to tell my mother. Oh, y'all, I was terrified. Do you hear me? I was terrified to tell my mother. So much so that I didn't tell her for months. Didn't tell her for months. I was scared because I knew it was something that she talked so poorly of as when I was a kid. That stuff don't help, and you don't need them folk in your business, and what if you want to go out and become something magnificent in the world? What are they gonna do? What if they dig up all of these things and all of this stuff, right? And I know that I'm not the only person in the Black community who has experienced this. And my point today, if you don't get anything else, if you fast forward from the beginning of the video to right now, I want you to know that it is your God-given right to seek help for yourself. Everybody want to use Jesus and be like, oh, well, Jesus said just pray on it. No, that's not how the fuck the shit works, okay? It's not. There are people, professional people, who have studied and went to school and got degrees and have fat ass balls of debt to be able to help you through shit. Go see somebody. If you do nothing else for yourself, whether that be physically, financially, whatever it is, make sure your mental health is together, because you can be spiritually okay, you can be financially okay, you can be physically okay, but if your mental is not right, you won't flourish anywhere. Anywhere. A hollow seed don't grow no trees, baby. A hollow seed don't grow no trees. Do you hear me? You have to take care of you. You have to make sure that you are filled with things that are good for you. And don't let society's views on mental health make you feel like, you're less than. There's nothing wrong with you. There's some things that you have to deal with differently, but there's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're not less than. None of that. Don't let somebody tell you who the fuck you are. Don't let somebody tell you who the fuck you are. Know who you are. And if you know who you are and you know that you need help, then go and get that help. Go get the help you need. It's available. If you're in Cleveland, like me, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. The Black Mental Health Corporation is in Shaker Heights, Ohio. If you are comfortable, there's 2 African American female therapist and a male therapist there. Please, seek comfort. I know that if you contact your insurance, they will let you know who is covered under your insurance. If therapy, seeing a therapist or a psychologist is covered under your plan, and go see somebody. Go see somebody. We dress the outside up and leave the inside so drained and so empty. And there's nothing wrong with going to see someone. We all have trauma. Everybody has trauma. Something has happened to everybody. Whether it was something good that you couldn't receive, whether it was bad, whether, you feel indifferent about it, whether, you have strained relationships, whatever it is, your job. I go to therapy because my job stresses me the fuck out. It does. It makes me want to throw everything off my desk and walk out every day. Never fails. But I go see somebody to help me through that. Because that's not a logical response to a lot of things. And it's okay. That's okay. It's okay to feel a type of way about things. I thought that there was something wrong with me because of the relationship I have with my family. And it's not. I just do things differently. I move different. I handle my situations differently. My thought process is different. My way of worship is different. And that's okay. Being different doesn't make you less than. It does not make you less than. You are 100% fully capable of being whole with depression, with anxiety, with a bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or whatever your battle is. You are completely capable of being whole and being full in yourself with that. Don't let old Black people in the community, because we're going to call a thing, make you be who they are. Don't do it. You have options. Tangible options. You don't even have to get out the bed to go see a therapist now. You can video chat with them. You can video chat with them. You can, what's that called? You can, like, email through them and y'all can have conversations that way. Like, there are resources for you. Y'all, don't succumb to your battles. Do not succumb to your battles when there's help for you. We lose a lot of young African Americans every day to mental health disorders when you don't have to. It doesn't have to be that way. So please consider taking the time out to speak to somebody, because you matter. You matter. You're important. You are loved. You are valued. And you're the only you that we get. And when we lose you, we lose your gifts. We lose what you have to offer. We lose the light that you bring to this place. So I would really love for y'all to consider speaking to someone. And if you don't want a therapist, speak to your friends. Speak to a trusted family member, a boss, a supervisor, anybody that you trust. Speak to somebody and let them know what's going on so somebody can know, because nobody can help you if you don't say anything. I suffered in silence for years because I didn't say anything. And all it took for me to do was have a couple conversations with somebody for me to understand what goes on and to find coping mechanisms. And that doesn't mean you have to be on medication. I'm personally not on medication. I mean, if you need to be on medication, that's okay. But that's not everybody's situation. Sometimes coping mechanisms help. Sometimes thinking yourself through your struggle helps. But you got to help yourself. You have to find a way to dig out of all of the lies that have been placed on mental health and find a light somewhere, because it's there and there's somebody that's there for you. So I know that was kind of a rant. I didn't expect this video to be 22 minutes. I was just coming on to say a few things, but I just wanted to put that out there. And if I have any older individuals viewing this, please consider the words that you say when speaking to people with mental health issues about mental health. Because the way that you speak about it, the way that you vilify and demonize and belittle those who have mental health issues or struggle to deal with these type of things on a daily basis, it means something. It means something. And you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who you're talking to. Everybody has that alcoholic uncle, or that aunt who might have done drugs, or vice versa, or whatever the situation is. Did you ever stop to think that maybe they were dealing with some mental health issues, and the way that you spoke to them, or the way that somebody like you spoke to them, caused them to not seek help? And so they had to find a way to cope with that. And so now drugs and alcohol are suppressing those issues that they were dealing with. Because that's a thing. Especially in the Black community. So think before you speak. And I want you guys to know that I love you. I appreciate you. I value you. If you want to reach out to me and talk about any of the mental health issues that you're going through, I'm always a listening ear. I am not a mental health professional, but I do have connections to mental health professionals. And if you'd like to seek help and don't know how to do so, I'd be more than glad to direct you to some trusted individuals in my life. So definitely feel free to message me, comment below, like, comment, subscribe. Everything is everything linked below? I don't believe everything is linked below, but I will link my Instagram and Twitter, same handle, at @hecraves_gummy. Feel free to, contact me if you have any questions. If you, want me to assist you in finding resources, I'll be more than glad to do so. Again, I love you. And remember, nobody is better at you than you are.